For one night in the summer of 1977, it looked like we were not alone. A radio telescope in Ohio, methodically sweeping the sky as the Earth turned, caught something coming from the direction of the constellation Sagittarius. A signal so strong, so precise, and so impossibly artificial-looking that the astronomer who found it grabbed a red pen and wrote a single word in the margin. Wow. It lasted 72 seconds. It has never, ever come back. And almost 50 years later, despite everything we've learned, no one can say for certain what it was. This is the story of the closest we may have ever come to an answer, and why the answer keeps slipping away. To understand the signal, you have to understand the machine that caught it. In the flat farmland of Delaware, Ohio, sat one of the strangest instruments ever built, a radio telescope the size of 3 football fields, nicknamed Big Ear. It didn't move. It couldn't swivel to track a target. Instead, it lay still and let the rotation of the Earth sweep the sky slowly past its gaze, like a man lying in a field watching the stars drift overhead. Big Ear belonged to Ohio State University, and from 1973, it ran the longest-running search for extraterrestrial intelligence in history, quietly scanning the heavens for any sign that someone, somewhere, was trying to be heard. Night after night, it recorded what it heard onto reams of computer paper, long columns of numbers and letters, each one a measure of how loud the sky was at a given moment. Mostly, the sky was quiet. A volunteer astronomer named Jerry Ehman would take these stacks of paper home and read them by hand, line by line, looking for anything that stood out. For 4 years, nothing did. And then, a few days after the night of August 15th, 1977, he turned a page and stopped. Running down the printout was a sequence that didn't belong. 6 E Q U J 5. To anyone else, it's gibberish. To Ehman, it was a scream. Big Ear measured signal strength on a scale where higher numbers meant louder, and once it passed 9, the machine switched to letters. A U meant the signal was roughly 30 times louder than the quiet hum of deep space. Nothing natural in that patch of sky should have been able to do that. And the shape was wrong too. Wrong in the most right way imaginable. The signal rose, peaked, and fell over about 72 seconds, exactly the time Big Ear's beam would take to sweep across a single fixed point in the sky. It behaved precisely as if it were coming from one specific spot out in the galaxy, not from a passing plane or a glitch on Earth. Ehman circled the sequence in red ink and, almost without thinking, wrote the word that would name it forever. But here is the part that made the hair stand up. The signal sat almost exactly on a frequency called the hydrogen line, 1420 megahertz, the natural radio note of the most common element in the universe. Scientists had argued for years that if another civilization ever wanted to be found, this is the frequency they would choose because any species anywhere would know it. And something had just called on it. Once. There was only one way to know if it was real. Hear it again. So they looked. Ehman and his colleagues pointed Big Ear back at the same patch of Sagittarius. Nothing. In the years that followed, far more powerful telescopes were aimed at that same spot again and again, listening for any echo. Decades of searching. Nothing. Not once. And that absence cuts both ways. A repeat would have been proof of something. The silence left the door open to every explanation at once. Was it interference from Earth? A satellite? An aircraft? A stray transmission bouncing off space junk? The frequency made that unlikely. The protected hydrogen line is restricted precisely because astronomers need it kept clean. Then, in 2017, a researcher proposed a tidy answer. A pair of comets had been drifting through that region in 1977, and comets are wrapped in vast clouds of hydrogen. Maybe Big Ear had simply caught their glow. For a moment, it looked solved. But the original team took it apart within days. A comet's hydrogen cloud is enormous and diffuse. It would have produced a soft, smeared signal spread across the sky, not the sharp, clean spike that switched on and off as the beam crossed a single point. The comet idea collapsed, and the wow signal slipped back into the unknown, where it had lived all along. Which brings us to the most recent and most surprising chapter. With every earthly and passing explanation exhausted, researchers turned to a stranger possibility that the signal had been cosmic and natural all along. A team led by astronomer Abel Mendez went digging through old archives from the Great Arecibo Telescope in Puerto Rico and found something strange. Faint signals scattered through the data that looked like miniature versions of the wow signal. Same frequency, same narrow, clean profile, just dimmer. When they traced them, each one lined up with a cold cloud of hydrogen gas floating in interstellar space. Their idea is elegant. Hydrogen clouds normally glow far too softly for a telescope to notice. But if something violent flared nearby, a magnetar, a dead star with a magnetic field trillions of times stronger than Earth's, its burst of radiation could strike the cloud and make it briefly blaze at the hydrogen line like a fog bank suddenly lit by a lightning flash. For 72 seconds, the universe might have simply flickered. It's the strongest natural explanation anyone has offered. And yet, the team that proposed it has been remarkably careful. They say their work doesn't solve the mystery. It only gives the clearest picture yet. Other researchers aren't convinced the case is closed at all. The flare that would have triggered it has never been identified. The source remains, in the most literal sense, unconfirmed. So where does that leave us? Almost 50 years on, the wow signal is no longer quite the smoking gun for alien life it once seemed, but it has refused again and again to be fully explained away. Every tidy answer has frayed at the edges. And maybe that's the real lesson of those 72 seconds. The universe is loud and rare, and full of events we'll catch exactly once and never again. Today, astronomers are building a network of small telescopes worldwide, a project called Wow at Home, so that the next time the sky does something impossible, more than one ear is listening. The original printout still exists, red circle and all. It's just paper, and a question we've never managed to put down. So, I'll leave it with you. A once-in-history signal on the one frequency we'd expect a message to arrive. Was it a dying star lighting up a cloud of gas? Or was it someone out there in Sagittarius saying hello exactly once? Tell me what you think in the comments. And if you want more mysteries the textbooks can't close, subscribe, because we're only getting started.